Yeah, exactly.
Man, I will listen to that too.
Oh, there's people online, Paul. Don't worry. People are here too. They're waiting to see the teacher up there.
You guys want a handout?
Sure.
Yeah.
What's this?
So Jessica will be going over
Okay.
with you. Here's the exciting bit.
Shit.
This is the technical bit.
Yeah, this is it's just talking.
Well, you're very good at that.
Yeah. I really want to have somebody to talk to.
Wait, are you sitting in here too?
I'm just gonna film him for the Instagram.
Oh,
yeah, I'm learning.
look at that. Timer. Look at that. Anybody comes in.
See, I can do that as well.
Beautiful.
I tried.
You're gonna do great.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you were talking about. You're good at talking.
You're good at talking.
I mean, it'd be a lot better if y'all let me start drinking at like 8. I'd be talking about a lot of food. Like,
You're not your boss. You can do whatever you want.
That's true. Well, I don't think, when did y'all hire the liquor cabinet?
I was in the roommate.
Our new room?
Yeah.
Oh, me and Lisa's office?
Yeah. We need to cut that piece of it.
Like a half one. Like a half.
Yeah, we didn't, I think on Sunday, we forgot to unlock it. Nobody said anything.
All two people.
Wait, where's the, wait, hold on.
How are you?
That's hard to feel.
Good.
See you later.
How you doing? Good to see you, pal.
Wait, where's the
That's good to meet you. Yeah, you too.
And Ashley's.
Wait, do you guys see two of me? You see the back of my hair?
Where's
That.
Oh, are you guys, they're seeing the reflection in the glass. I'm like, why am I here? Okay, all right, we're gonna kick off in like,
That way.
give us like 2 minutes. No, it looks like it's pointing right here.
Ashley truly felt that the end of the world was coming.
But now I can't see myself. We have surround sound today. This is awesome. Everyone, people are coming to the class are getting situated, so just give us a minute. Fulton, you're going first.
Oh. That's probably better that way. See, I can forget about everything I say and just start listening to like the main.
Did an interview with him in the bedroom. And
Everyone at home, we are going to attach a PDF in there that you can have a copy of.
open the doors to the
You do a Fulton's presentation that will have to do with mine.
room with there was this thing over his head that was unusual. It had a whole bunch of red laser lights pointing onto his head to help him grow.
That is really weird.
Okay. Everyone there? Everyone ready? You guys ready? Okay, so. See, I can't see myself now and I don't like this. Okay,
This whole thing is weird right here. The
Right?
reflection, like,
right?
did I cover the back of my head today?
How's my backside look, guys? Okay. Welcome everybody on Zoom and in the class for today. So this is our first open house class. And I see Fulton has some supporters in here, which is awesome, from the 220. So we're going to open up our class today with Fulton going over what he does for an open house, and then I will take over when he's done to go through a more formal presentation to cover all the ins and the outs that he may skip or just not do for his open house. But we really want you guys to hear from somebody that actually does this on a daily basis in real life, because the best way for you guys to learn and figure out how you want to do your open houses is by learning from these guys. So I'm going to kick it over to you.
I appreciate that. Everybody, good to see y'all. Everybody at home. So we're talking to like this little box thing.
Talk to them.
Okay, I'll talk to y'all. So, my name's Fulton. I'm part 220 agents. Little background. I got my license in August of 2019. I've been doing it for about 1.5 years now. Did 7.5 million my first year, and I attribute a lot of it to doing open houses. Because do as many as you can, because what's the point of an open house? The point of an open house is one to sell. You don't have to do open houses on your own properties. You do them on anybody's. I can do it on yours, Isaac's, Kim's, anybody's properties. Because what your goal is to meet buyers, meet clients. Another side thing is you're also trying to teach, let your sellers know that, hey, we're putting as much effort as we can into the house. We're trying to market to everybody, but the real goal is to meet buyers. Because the more buyers you get, they can turn into a buy-sale opportunity, and you're just trying to get a bigger network of people to relate to. But there's some things you need to bring to an open house. Like one of the most important ones is a chair, because a lot of the open houses are empty and nobody likes sitting on the floor. But like I normally do like a little packet. I make flyers. I make like flyers. You have Keller Williams does has a lot of great tools. We can command to make flyers. I use mine on Breakthrough Broker. But like you need to know stuff about the property, and you need to just be versed, because a lot of them won't be your property. It'll be somebody else's property. But like you need to have like a property disclosure, because you give them the information, people understand that you've done your homework. Like print out the floor plan, get a overhead picture of the property, know the square footage. Just do your research. I mean, that's what we do as real estate agents. We do the research because the research is what makes us important to people and why people want to use us. So what else? What should you do? I mean, once you get the property, once you know you're going to do an open house, you want to blanket the area. What I do, I normally go 10 houses up one way and 10 houses down the other way. Let the neighbors know that, hey, selling a property on your street, come by and take it. Everybody has nosy neighbors. Everybody wants to see it. So come by and look at this property, and they see that you're doing a really good job with it. Like, oh, maybe I'm going to use him to sell my house in 3 months, 6 months, 2 years down the road. It's all about marketing and networking yourself. Send it to everybody in your tracking system. Send out flyers like, hey, I know you bought a house last month, but come support these people, come support me, come check out. Put little snacks, water bottles, brand yourself. Do any of the branding that you use. Like if you look at 220, that some stuff we do, like I got my 220 vest on. I have a 220 mask. I have hats. We have sanitizers. Like anything that we can put out in front of people, like magnets that go on the fridge. You just want to brand yourself, because that's what this business is all about. Ways to do a flyer, stuff you should know when you're doing an open house. You need to definitely know the square footage. You need to know kind of what the HOA dues are, what the taxes for the property are. What else? What the acreage is. What does the HOA include? I mean, everybody who's trying to spend $300,000 and up on a house want to know all this stuff, because they're making the biggest purchase of their life. So you give them all the information you can and try to help them out to do that. But like one of the ways I do things, there's a book I read a long time ago. It's actually a book on tape, because if you know me, I don't read. So it's a book on tape. It's called The Art of the Sale. And they have something called the loose robes technique. So like when somebody comes in, nobody wants to be hounded by people they don't know. So they'll come in the door, you introduce yourself, be like, hi, I'm Fulton. I'm holding this open house. If you need anything, let me know. I'm not going to follow you around, but I want to be around in case you need me. So you just let them go, because nobody wants to be hounded. Like I want to come look at it. I want to experience it like it was my house, like I'm walking into my own home. So you let them walk around, then you come up to them, talk to them. About 5 minutes later, it's like, hey, I see you on the second floor now. Do you have any questions? Do you need anything I can help you out with? And say no. It's like, all right, cool. I'll be downstairs if you need me. You just wait for them to come back down. But, and it also just helps you perfect your craft. You don't know these people. You didn't know them 10 minutes beforehand. You're not going to know them 30 minutes after unless you make a good impression. So perfect your craft on people you don't really know. That's about what open house is all about to me. It's just meeting new people. It's never about the house you're selling, to be honest with you. But that's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. Y'all got any questions for me?
You want to talk about the brochure?
Oh, the brochure. So I make a flyer for every one of my presentations, maybe for every one of my open houses, that it has kind of like a listing disclosure. I put the floor plans, the property disclosure, my flyer, And this is for people when they come in there, I give it to them so they can go home with. So they can have it like, the most important part is right here, it's your card. You know, you're advertising yourself here too. Like a lot of these people don't have agents. Call me, make a great impression with them, they want to come back to you. You know, so this is something they have that they can take home, put on the counter, and then 2 days later, they're like, well, I want to ask another question. So they email, and then you have them in your system, right? And I have their number. Give me email, I'll email you more information. I'll email you the covenants. I'll email you all the bylaws. You know, now you have them, then you put them on your bulk emails when you do anything. What you got?
So what are you using to capture the data when they come in? Are you using your iPad or you just?
So there's old and true techniques, you know, like have a sign-in sheet. Sign-in sheet is probably one of the most important things to have. And I appreciate it. Thanks for reminding me about that. You have a sign-in sheet that when they come in, they be like, hey, just in case you need anything, have any questions, we just want to be able to reach out to you. You know, it's a tracking system. Another thing is, there are these new systems on the QR codes on the back of your card. You know, if they don't want to take anything, but like, hey, well, look, if you don't take my card, just here's your QR, and you can capture their information off the QR if you have the right program.
How many of the brochures do you usually put together?
I normally do anywhere about 5 to 8.
Okay.
Just because a lot of people come in already have agents, and I really don't give them out to people that have agents because that's their agent's job. Not just like, hey, I'd love to give you one, but the real estate commission says that we have to respect our peers. So I can't give you information because you're already spoken for somebody else. But like if you do a really good, like the open house I did this weekend, I think I had about 19 people come through there. Ended up with 4 offers on it. You know, sold it first weekend. Looks great to the sellers, looks great to the buyers. You know, I actually got a guy who wants to sell his rental in the neighborhood and 3 other investment properties from it. So, and that's just sitting there talking to them. And open houses can get overwhelming because when you have like 5 people, 5 groups at one point in time, you're gonna feel like you're not giving anybody attention. And that's when that technique of loose robes comes through. Like you go and check on them, you just check on each group, you know, and then sometimes one group will corner you. And that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. You got to figure out what they're really looking for. Yes, sir.
Yes, you said they can get overwhelming. Do you have other individuals helping with the open house so that you said if they're available, hey, can somebody come and support me or?
Yeah, we have a lot of agents that are training right now. They can come to anything that I do. Like if you want to come on, because you know they need to perfect their skills too. And if it's a really hot, if you think it's gonna be a really high property, highly trafficked property, obviously, yeah, come on and help out. But sometimes you can't. It won't happen. It'll just be you. You know. Anybody got any other questions? All right.
Yeah, I have a question.
This for my first time. I hope I was. I got one. I don't even know.
This is Julianne speaking, just as a brand new agent. So how do you go about approaching other agents to see if you can show their houses that they have listed?
Just ask them. I mean, because it looks good for them towards their clients, because a lot of experienced agents don't take the time to do that. I won't say a lot, let me rephrase that. Some experienced agents don't take the time to do open houses, one, because they don't have the time or they don't like to, but they would love for somebody to help market their property so they can get it sold. So like here at Keller Williams, probably put on the email, like anybody need an open house, is somebody do an open house for them and somebody will take it up. I mean, how many listings do we normally have at a current time? Keller Williams.
Usually 50 something at a time.
50 something at a time. So, I mean, there's 50 opportunities you could have to try to do an open house, perfect your skill.
Okay. So just ask on the Facebook page, maybe.
Yeah, ask on the Facebook page, on the bulk emails normally work.
Thanks.
No problem.
Well, I just want to throw props to Fulton because I asked him last week to come in and speak. So he's never taught a class before. It was last minute. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
But I mean, he's amazing. I mean, what he's done in his first year, what he's able to do, the team that he's with. I mean, reach out. This is an opportunity for anybody to reach out at any time. I mean,
if anybody needs me, call me. I mean, we're real estate agents. We love to talk. you know,
Yeah.
just give me a call.
And don't be afraid. And if you ever can't find Fulton, just follow the noise at the end of the hall. And that's where you'll find it. So just go that way.
220. That's all I'm saying.
All right, guys, I'm going to do a screen share. We're going to, so if you go to the chat room, for those of you that haven't gone there, there is a PDF link in there for you. That is what I am going to be presenting off of. Hold on, you guys are in. Why is it not moving? All right, can you guys see that enough? You see me scrolling? I'm gonna have to do it this way. It's a PDF. It had a different presentation, but it didn't follow along with the PDF, so this is what we're gonna go for. And if you have a question, because I have the chat to the side now, just speak up, and I will take breaks in here. So now we're gonna go through formality. Okay. Oh, I'm really close to the camera. Stand back here. You guys don't need to see my nostrils. Okay, so formality of open houses. Number one, what are the benefits? So we're covering benefits of open houses, and take full into account everything that Fulton taught. Like, I don't want you to dismiss a drop of what he said. We're just going to go through this item by item. So it creates a more systematical approach here. So the benefits of an open house, number one, they're inexpensive. So open houses really don't cost you much money. What they cost you are time. So the expense of an open house is picking up the phone and calling people, inviting to them, going and knocking on the doors, inviting the neighbors, going and dropping off flyers, posting stuff on social media, putting it in HAR, the time to put signs out and all of that. The cost of the open house itself, with the exception of what printed material you may have that's there, is nothing. So they're inexpensive to do. They have a high ROI and exposure. You get to put open house signs out. You get to email your sphere. That's exposure to your sphere, letting them know that you're hosting an open house. You get to promote an open house. So you guys hear me talk about events a lot, right? This is an event. So now you get to promote that you're hosting an event. So I'm going to stop a second on open house signs, because we're talking high ROI and exposure. What's one thing that I talk to a lot of you all the time about? Branding. Branding. Open house signs are a perfect opportunity for branding. So yes, can you go out there and buy the red and white open house signs, the blue and white open house signs? You can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever, and buy them. Of course you can. But what if you were to make an upfront one-time investment to invest in your own open house signs branded to you, has your photo on it, your name on it, your brand of what you want that to look like. So that way, when you go and you put all these signs out everywhere, people aren't just seeing a directional sign, they're seeing you. So now you just increased your exposure, because someone might drive by that and see you and then be like, wait, I've seen that person somewhere before. Maybe they saw a Facebook ad that you did. Maybe they saw you at the grocery store. Maybe they saw you at church. It's connecting the pieces, because the more exposure that you put out there, the more people remember you. And the more people visually remember you, the quicker it starts sinking in up here when they start thinking real estate. So with that high ROI, so everyone here knows that I come from a different market, and and real estate there was what it is here is what we went through several years ago. So there were several agents that I would see every weekend, regardless, did an open house. Their open house signs were out every Saturday and Sunday, all day long. They left them out all day, all night. They would go out on a Friday night, put them up for their open houses on a Saturday and a Sunday, and they would be out there. You had no choice but to know who this person was, because it didn't matter where you went, you passed one of their signs. So you knew who that person was. They were doing open houses for their own brokerage, for other brokerages, for builders. They didn't care where they were doing open house. They made it a point every weekend, my signs are out there. And it didn't cost them anything but time. And then their business went up and up and up, because when you need an agent, who are you going to call? I mean, think about you guys when you're driving around, you see billboards, right? You see billboard after billboard. Whether you know it or not, the reason that you eat at certain places or have a certain insurance or have certain things is because you saw that billboard over and over again, and you don't even realize that's why you'll go to McDonald's when you're in the middle of nowhere. That's why you're gonna pick up a Coke and know that the Coke is gonna taste good, right? When I'm thirsty, I'm gonna go for a Coke over a Pepsi because Coke is the #1 marketer in the world. They have stuff out there everywhere and we don't even realize we're seeing it. But if we think if we need a soda, we know we're gonna get good quality from a Coke, right? So that's the bit on high ROI with exposure. Another benefit, qualified leads from one listing. Statistically, 51% of buyers use an open house as a source of info for their home search. 51%. That's huge. 51% is huge, especially when we look at a lot of other things and it's 1% for this, 5% for this, 10% for this. Knowing that 51% of the buyers are leveraging an open house to gain information is huge. That's a huge opportunity for you in an open house to provide that information. And lastly, the benefit is it's a productive way to meet buyers and sellers. You never know who's going to walk through that door. It could just be a neighbor and they're checking out how are you conducting this open house because they're thinking about selling their house and they want to see what you're doing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. An open house is an interview. Whoever sees the open house, shows up at the open house, is interviewing you for the job. And we don't think about it that way. But that's our resume in action. An open house is your resume in action. So one thing to keep in mind as well for these open houses is real estate is already the topic of conversation for their showing up there because they showed up because of real estate. So you don't need to have crazy real estate conversation. That's why they're already there. And you don't need to find a way to break the ice on a real estate conversation because they're going to break the ice with you because they're there. So what is our business that we're in? Our business is real estate. Our job is lead gen. An open house is one of the best ways for organic lead gen. All right. Any questions on that at home? Any questions? We're good? So I gotta walk over here. Where's my slide? So the first thing that we need to do before we even do an open house is prepare. All right, so we just talked about the benefits. Benefits are great, but benefits don't mean anything if we're not preparing for it. So this is literally day by day what you're doing to prepare for the open house. So on a Monday, literally you're selecting the open house location, the time, and where you want to do it. How do you select your open house? So let's pretend for a moment, for the sake of this conversation, that our market is not what it is right now, that we know no matter where we do an open house, people are going to show up, the house is going to sell. Let's pretend for a moment that that's not going to happen, because we want to teach you what will need to happen the moment that this market may shift. So volunteer, anybody at home, in here, how do you select your open house?
It may be in the neighborhood you're farming.
Okay, neighborhood that you're farming.
Somewhere that'll get more traffic.
More traffic.
Any house that's available for open house.
Any house that's available. Your own listing. So what about thinking about, is this house worthy of an open house? If this is more of a house that is geared towards an investor, do I want an open house? No. If the house is not in a condition to be shown as an open house, do I want to host an open house on that house? Open house on that house. I'm saying house a lot. Is it, going back to location, is it in a location where I want to be doing business? Because people that come there It's an opportunity to gain sellers. So do you want to have listings in that area? And one of the lower things to think about, but still something to consider, Josh said it, based off the location, what's the traffic? How easily accessible is this? Is there an opportunity when you're driving to get to that house? Are there places where you can put signs for people to get there? Or is it in a spot that isn't going to make sense, that you're sitting so far back, or it's in a neighborhood that doesn't allow signs to be put out and stuff like that? So think about location in that regard, in how you're directing traffic to get there. Now, sometimes you're going to take a house just to get at the open house because you want the practice, or you're like, well, I'd rather do something than nothing, because at a minimum, I get to market online, right? I get to create the event. I get to show my audience that I'm out here working real estate and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, those are things that you really want to consider, especially when this market, it kind of stabilizes a little bit. And even now, you can still consider that. Questions on that? Tuesday, now you have your open house. Now you know what house you're doing. So now you're going to post it online. You're going to generate your call list. You're going to call neighbors. You're going to circle prospect. Who knows what circle prospecting is? No? Circle prospecting is taking the house that you're going to host the open house on, and you're going to circle around it, and you're contacting all the people within a circle that you can say, well, my circle for this house is 10 doors this way, 10 doors that way, 10 doors that way. That's the circle of who I'm going to knock on the door, drop a flyer off, anything. That's circle prospecting. So we mentioned generate a call list. So you guys have the benefit of using Cole Realty, which we have in the office. So when you're doing an open house, you can go on the computer, put in the address of the house that you're doing, and gather as much information about that neighborhood or the neighbors to pull information to either mail them something, call them, or email them based off of the information you get from Cole Realty. So there are ways to get that information. And there's no excuse, because if you don't have their information, you can go knock on the door. Or you can do a Facebook ad, and the Facebook ad is directed to that neighborhood. Or you find somebody that's in that neighborhood, you talk to the listing agent, say, hey, would your seller mind sharing this ad that I created, this flyer I created, on their neighborhood Facebook page to let their neighbors know? You can ask the listing agent to do that too. Wednesday, you're posting online again. You're installing the Keller Williams mobile app search on your phone, because you're preparing for this, because now that you're posting stuff online, if somebody comes back to you, you want to be prepared. And you're putting a sign in the yard on Wednesday, advertising the day and time of the open house. So that way, anybody driving by ahead of time knows this house is going to be open on Saturday from 12 to 2. So they're going to register that in their mind, like, we're coming back for that. Because a lot of times too, the house may not even be active on the market. It may still be in coming soon status and is going to go live on Friday. Well, do you want to wait until Friday night to start marketing your open house or go active online? You want to gather as many people that are already driving by. Thursday, you're posting online again. You're inviting your database. You're going into command, and you are sending something out to your entire database, inviting them to your event and asking them, when you're sending the invitation to them, asking them if they know anybody looking in this area that they would share this with. That's all you're doing. That's another touch to your database. Anyone that called off the yard sign because you put it out on Wednesday, you're going to return those calls. Sometimes people are going to call you. And anybody that, because you ran a Facebook ad, that's where you're also going to return your leads. So Thursday is anything you did on Wednesday, you're now returning all your lead calls, your sign calls, everything on Thursday to ask them the questions, see what they're looking for, direct them to the open house, anything that may be. Friday, look at that, we're posting online again. Posting online again. We're preparing the market stats and the comps, and we're printing open house flyers. We're doing this the day before. Why are we preparing market stats and comps? What do you guys think? Why are we doing that?
We said we were prepared, done our homework, ready to get new customers.
Yep, why else? Why else are we pulling comps?
To verify the value of the property.
And then also to
You know,
sell the neighbors on what their property might be worth.
We're pulling comps because when someone walks in that house, what if that house isn't for them? And you can say, well, this house may not be for you, but we have a house down the street that has this and this. This house that I'm doing an open house on has a pool. Here's a direct comparable, a house that looks just like this that doesn't have a pool. Here's a comp. Would you like to see that? I'm happy to set up an appointment for you. You're pulling comps to give them other options in case this isn't the house for them. Because what do open houses not do? The open house does not always sell the house. An open house is an opportunity for you to build your database and connect with other people. But not everyone that walks in that house, that is the right house for them. But you want to make sure that you're top of game to have the right house for them, possibly there in the comps that you have pulled by other houses that are active on the market. And that's what we mean by comps, not the solds. We're looking at what are our comparables here around the area. Saturday. We're posted online again. Look at that. We're putting our directional signs out. We're door knocking the neighborhood, and we're leaving a flyer if unanswered. This is with the assumption our open houses on Sunday. That's why we're doing this on Saturday, because you're giving that last minute stuff. And why not put directionals out if you can the day before? Why not? So, and if you're going to put if you can't do it the day before because you're worried about them being stolen or, it's just not the right thing. If your open house is in the afternoon, don't be the agent that's putting their open house signs out right before the open house and you're getting all hot and sweaty, messing up your hair, stepping in mud, all of that stuff. So you're also limiting your audience to them seeing it ahead of time when they're out running errands in the morning. Go out before the sun comes up. Wake up early, go do that while you're still in your pajamas, and then go back prepared and professional for the open house. So because you want to catch anybody that is out early and about that day or the day before to let them know this is going on. And even if they follow those signs to the open house and the open house isn't going on yet, what's in the yard? The sign that tells them open house Saturday 2 to 4. So when they get there, they're going to make a note to come back later, or they're going to call you and say, hey, we drove by here. We see there's an open house. Is there an opportunity for us to come at a different time if that time doesn't work for them? Questions on preparing?
Jessica, is there a concern with where we place our signs?
Just
private property,
Just check the neighborhood. So when you guys are looking at where you're placing the signs, don't put it directly in someone's yard. Use the grass area between the sidewalk and the street. So yeah, you want your directionals highly visible. So you want them at the most highly visible spots, not if I'm driving this way and the sign is posted like this. I'm not going to see it till I drive by the time I get up to the sign, I won't be able to read what's on there. So you want signs facing this way. So you guys, if I go this way, so if I'm driving this way and I see a sign, my arrow is going to say straight forward. It's not going to be this way or that way. My sign is going to be oncoming traffic arrow this way. But if I'm driving this way and the open house is that way, I'm going to have a U-turn on the back of my sign. So I'm going to tell you, hey, if you're driving this way and that open house is that way, turn your butt around. I'm going to give you the directionals. Thinking?
Yeah, some neighborhoods, let's say they're limited parking inside their cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you manage that where it gets overcrowded right in that area? You have to kind of put a location to park somewhere else and they have to walk to the house?
No, so here's what you do with that. So there's a door knocking script on here that you guys can leverage. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but it's basically what you door knock to invite the neighbors and stuff like that. What I'm going to add to this is to this door knocking script is I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I will be having this open house, and during these hours there may be a lot of extra cars on the road. And I want to give you that heads up so you're aware if you have kids out playing and stuff like that, it may be a little overcrowded, but we just wanted to let you know. That's how you come from a place of caring and politeness and giving them a heads up versus redirecting traffic somewhere else. So, and that's what you do. And most people that come to an open house are going to be in the house for 15 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes if they're really, really are interested, but most are in and out really fast, so the cars won't be there very long. So another tip for you as an agent, never park in the driveway. You're the one that parks as far away as you can to let everybody that's visiting leverage the street parking and the driveway parking if it's cramped like that. So we never put ourselves in the driveway. But yeah, but that's how I would suggest to overcome parking situations. So just notify the neighbors.
Jessica?
Yep.
And where's the best place to get the signs? I have the lady who's doing the signs. Do you have someone specifically here?
So some agents use fast signs, some use build a sign. Build a sign's a company, fast sign's a company. Am I missing another one?
I forget the name I use, I forget. But I have.
On our KW All Access page, there is also a link for a sign company there. And I don't know if that's build a sign or a different one, but there's another one there. Those are the top sign companies that you can do. And the more that you order, the cheaper the cost. So personally, and this is from experience, minimum of 20 open house signs, minimum of 20 directionals.
The directionals are separate signs, that's what I was gonna ask. Are they overlays or what are the directionals?
So a directional sign is your open house sign, your picture, open house, and it has an arrow, whether you're pointing left, right, forward, or U-turn. Those are your directional signs.
Variety.
You do a variety.
And Keller Williams sign and.
Correct, and you have the Keller Williams logo on it. So as far as the open house signs, the Keller Williams logo is sufficient. And then you would have the sign that goes in the yard would look exactly like those. It just stays the day and time. And an easy way around signs in the yard, because you're like, well, what if I don't know if it's going to be a Saturday or Sunday and time? Keep a white bar on there that you can write on with marker, something that's semi-permanent, so you can then take a white eraser and wipe it right off. So you can just keep changing it out, or have like a sticker or something that you can put on top of it. Yeah, so whatever you can use.
I'd say, along with the signs and how many you need, pro tip is make sure you have extras because they do get stolen or trashed or something from time to time.
Yes, and that's why you always want to do your homework ahead of time with, am I allowed to put open house signs out? Does this county, does this neighborhood, do they have restrictions on that? So, and you'll know where the house is, so you'll know the easiest thing is to contact the HOA and ask the HOA if they permit signs, or go to the county site and see what the rules are for posting signs. You'll know based off of driving sometimes when you're driving in areas, like, you know, be like, oh, I'm driving, I see signs from random people putting up, you know, we buy ugly houses, or, you know, car wash and stuff. And then all of a sudden you just like, you get to an area where there's nothing out. Chances are there's nothing out in that area because it might not be permitted, but it's really easy to find out where you can put them.
You're saying about the Keller Williams logo on the signs?
Yes.
If we like the just the generic directional ones that, you know, they have at the like at the real estate store or whatever, are those allowed for compliance, or do all of our signs have to have?
No, those are allowed. Those are allowed because they're generic, but when we personally brand them, we want to make sure that our company logo is on them. So when you're going and creating a custom sign, but make sure that the Keller Williams logo is on it. But if you're just getting an open house sign from Lowe's and Home Depot, the generic ones are perfectly okay. And that's what you see a lot about here anyway, because a lot of agents around here don't brand their signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier when they get stolen.
Exactly.
Do you usually put the address, like have that white box area on all of your signs, or just like even the directional ones with the arrow, just keep the arrow when you turn on those that are outside?
Yes, so your directional signs, you're gonna have a picture of yourself. You're gonna put your name and phone number really small on it with the directional sign and the logo. You want your directional sign, the directional, to be the biggest part of it. So people are clear as day as where they're going. You're just throwing some extra stuff on there for the branding, recognition, all of that. So, but no, it clutters it too much, because think when you're driving by, you can only read so much, right? And even if they can't read your name and phone number when they're driving, if they really want that information, they're gonna stop and they're gonna take a picture. So it's more of a quick visual of your face if you're comfortable putting your picture on stuff. And I know that there's back and forth about that, but you know, it's really up to you and how you feel, if you feel safe putting your photo on things like that. So I'm for, some people aren't, but I'm completely for doing that. All right, moving on. Prospects. We're promoting and hosting the open house. So Someone comes to the open house. First thing you do is you greet them. I mention this because not everybody does that. So some agents will just sit at the back of the house and just let people walk in. Like, you want to be there and greet them. Like, show excitement that they actually took the time to come into the house. And then when they come in the house, some agents will say, I'll have you sign in later and stuff like that. Well, later doesn't come all the time. So suggestion is that you have them sign in when you greet them. That part of you greeting them is then offering them something where they can sign in. So sign in options. You can print out something that they handwrite on it, or you can use an app. So if you have an iPad or even on your phone, I prefer the iPad or something similar in size. Open Home Pro is a phenomenal app and it's free. You can set up Open Home Pro to ask whatever information it is that you want them to fill out. It can have their, you can say, you can make what's required and what's not required. Name, phone, email. Are you working with a realtor? What is your time frame of purchase? Do you have a home to sell? How do you rate this home? Right? Whether I'm just throwing out suggestions for that. But the really cool thing about the Open Home Pro app is that you're creating that for that particular house, for that open house. So when your open house is done and you close down that open house, it will automatically send a thank you email to them for stopping by. You just had your first piece of follow-up and you didn't even have to think about it. And then from there, you can export all the contact information and import it right into Command. So then versus a sheet where you're filling out everything, I mean, I don't write clear as day. So I know someone's probably going to write down my contact information the wrong way. And then the chances of you having right and wrong information on somebody or reading it right or wrong is pretty high. And you might put an I where there was an L, and now that person doesn't get the email because that's what they provided to you, and so on and so forth. So suggestion is to go with an app where they're typing something in. More people are likely to fill that out than they are to handwrite something as well. So that's just studies. If they have something they can click on, you know, that first screen says name, they click next, second screen says email. Like, if there's something that's built into us that we like to touch buttons and see things slide. So you're more likely to fill it out, but it just makes it easier.
And does that mean we need to have an iPad available or something, a tablet?
Some type of device that you can put the app on. So some type of device, and that's if you have it. Some computers will work with the apps that if you have a regular computer. It depends the type of computer you have, if the app will work on there. So now you build your rapport. They came in, you greeted them, you had them sign in. Now it goes to the qualifying the leads. So you're asking probing questions and you're identifying their willingness to have a conversation with you. So you can ask things like, hey, are you here shopping for yourself or for someone else? That's a great starting question. Are you shopping for yourself or someone else? That right there will tell you where you need to take that conversation. And if they say they're shopping for themselves, what is it that you're looking for in a home? What brought you to this home, into this neighborhood? The schools. Oh, the schools? That's great. I assume you have kids. What are your kids' ages? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's fantastic. Are your kids involved in sports? Right? You can develop rapport through that conversation when you're asking probing questions, and you start to learn a lot about them. So now you know when I'm doing follow-up or what they're looking for, you just have a whole plethora of information about them. And then, I mean, it depends on the person, and it depends if you want to take it to the next step, where if they say they're looking for a home, if you want to ask, do you have a home to sell? Where are you coming from? Instead of saying, do you have a home to sell, you can say, where are you coming from? And they can say, you know, you're sitting here in Raleigh. Oh, we're coming from Cary. Oh, you're coming from Cary? Do you currently own a home there? That's how you say it instead of the blunt, do you have a home to sell? That's cold, right? We want to have warm probing conversations, probing questions. After that, providing them value. So remember when I talked about market stats and comparables and all of that. So now now when you're providing value to them, this isn't something that you have to, so don't think you have to stand in front of them the whole time, right? Like, because right now you're thinking, okay, well, I'm in a lot of conversation here. Like, when am I gonna have time to entertain somebody else? When am I gonna let them go through the house? So these are just things that are going on in the whole course of time of when they're there. So like Fulton mentioned, you know, he has all these flyers and different things. So providing the value is neighborhood snapshots. You can go, lenders have list reports that talk about walkability of the house, what's nearby to the house. You can go into RPR and pull a neighborhood report. So the neighborhood report will talk about what the neighborhood looks like. It goes as deep as demographics to school ratings to all of this stuff. This is all information that you can kind of have set up on the kitchen island. So you can create this display. So as they're walking through the house and when they come back to the kitchen or whatever that wow room is that you want them to kind of hang out in, you put up a display. You buy all the clear stands that, not the clear stands where you just put a bunch of papers and they can pull papers out, but the ones that you just slide one sheet in and it's kind of on display. So as they're walking by, they can look at it. And if they would like a copy of it, that is your opportunity to say, I'm happy to send that information to you. If you can make sure you put your email down on here, I'll email it to you over as soon as the open house is done. Boom, you just got their contact information if they were reluctant to give it to you at signing. So don't give them stuff that they can just walk out with and you never get back. And you have no contact information to reach out with them to check on it. I'm going to touch real quick on getting them to sign in because you're going to get objections on this. You're going to get objections on, well, you know, I'm already working with the realtor. I don't want to sign in. I'm just here to look around. Well, one of the reasons that we have our guests sign in is for the safety of the seller. So the seller knows who's coming through their home. That's the number one reason that you're having them sign in and that you say that you're having them sign in is for the safety of the seller. So, and if they object to that, then you say, you know, unfortunately, if you're not willing to provide your information to view this property, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside. It's safety for the seller, but it's also safety to you. What if something happens?
We can say that.
You can say for the safety of the seller. So it's a big thing. Safety for real estate agents, safety for sellers is a really, really big thing. And we are putting ourselves in a very vulnerable situation by hosting open house. We have no idea who these people are. So asking for that information really isn't that bad. And if they're not willing to provide at least their contact information or at least their name, so and their name as a minimum, what else might they be hiding? That's what I say. And you can say, hey, I promise you, I'm not gonna be sending you all the stuff. Like you can say whatever you want to say, like, I'm not gonna do all this. Like and you can be honest and say, at a minimum, I'm just gonna reach out to say thank you and see if you have further questions. I said, and if that's the extent of what you want it, that's where I'll keep it. So work with them. But overcome the objection is for the safety. So again, sellers want to know who came from. What if something broke? What if something happened? Well, I want to go down the list and see who was in the home, right? What if something went missing?
Would we bring someone with us, like a family member?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So that's our next slide. So we highly recommend that you never do an open house alone. So you always have somebody with you. At a minimum, bring your spouse, bring another agent. I think this is further in here. I'm going to jump ahead to it though. Bring a lender, bring a stager, bring an interior designer, bring a landscaper. Bring somebody along that when people are looking at the house, if they have a question about the house, you have somebody. So like, imagine a stager or an interior designer if they were there with you and somebody's walking through the house and they're starting to visualize themselves in there, or they're not sure how a room would work. They can talk to the stager and say, well, actually in this room, what would look really cute here is this. Or the stager can turn around and say, well, tell me about what furniture you already have. And we'll talk through that. Like, it's coming from another place if you have a partner there with you. So those are the perfect opportunities as a partner, is somebody that's from another piece that adds value to what you can offer. But another agent or your spouse or a friend or somebody is really important. Number 4 on here is establishing an escape route. Safety first. When you go to the open house, you're prepping that day at the open house. You get to the open house. You're walking in, you're opening all the blinds, you're walking around the house, you're turning all the lights on, you're prepping this house for show ready, to make sure it's as bright and airy and beautiful as possible. While you're walking around, you're looking to see, are there any valuables out that I need to tuck away in a drawer real quick? Is there anything, you know, like as I'm walking through the house, if I go this way, do I have a way out? Where's the back door in relation to the front door? Where's the garage door? Is it unlocked? Is there stuff going on? You want to familiarize yourself with the house that morning. That's why show up at least a half hour before it starts. Make sure that you're comfortable in that house and you know where you're going. That way, you know, if there's a second floor, don't follow them to the second floor. How are you going to get out? And then this is, safety is for male and female. So it's no longer females are the only ones in danger here. Male agents have had break-ins on them, guns pulled on them, things happen to them at open houses. The same thing happens, it doesn't matter. So this is across the board, be aware of this, but never follow somebody upstairs. Let them go upstairs and stand at the bottom of the stairs and ask them. If they're going into a bedroom and there's only one way in and one way out, well, you stay in the hallway. Stay in the hallway while they go in there. Stand at a point where you might be able to see them, but never tuck yourself somewhere that you can't get out of. So, and that's why it's always great to have a partner, because someone's always looking behind you where you go as well. So, and if you have a partner, then maybe one is at the top of the stairs, not in the rooms, but at the top of the stairs, and one is at the bottom of the stairs. So they're upstairs where they can kind of see stuff, but they can easily run back down. Make sense?
It's probably very hard for a lot of people coming to open house.
It is, especially if you go through the marketing that we talked about leading up to this, and you're doing all of that, the posting online, the inviting the database, knocking on the neighbors' doors and all this other stuff. Imagine how many people could show up at one time. Do you even want to be there alone? No, I wouldn't want to be. I get nervous when there's 2 people in the house and one's here and one's there, and I don't know what's going on because I can only see one at a time. I'm more nervous for the homeowner that they're digging through a drawer that I can't see or something like that. So yeah, but that right there, side note here, responsibility of a listing agent. Before you list a house, you talk to your client about packing up all your valuables, putting your, you know, any mail that you may have that has account information, lock it in a safe, put it in a spot where nobody can access it, pack all that stuff up. You're moving anyway. Take those things that you don't want broken and pack them up. We'll bring in some other knickknacks and stuff to fill in the space that goes there. Let's remove all that other stuff. And besides, you're moving anyway. We're going to have to pack it anyway. Let's make sure it gets packed up, put together versus broken. So yeah, Jack.
2 questions. You're talking about getting a 30 minutes, or let's say it's 2 to 4 for the showing. I get it at 1:30. Can I expect the client to be gone at 1:30? Are they leaving 30 minutes before it starts? Or am I going to have interaction with the homeowner?
You may have interaction with the homeowner if they come back.
So I'll reach out early in the week, is that up to the listing agent? Do all that, about I'm going to be the one doing the open house.
So the listing agent should let the homeowner know what agent is going to be there for the open house. As the person hosting the open house, I would ask the listing agent for the seller's contact information. That in case I have a question while I'm there or something happens and I need to get a hold of them, I don't want to go through the listing agent to get to the seller. I want to go straight to the seller. And it's just for that sake. It's a safety thing, a communication thing, all of that. And that way, when you're done with the open house, you can directly call or text the seller and say, hey, I just wrapped up, everything's locked, I've removed all my things, the house is free and clear for you to go back. It's a courtesy. Questions on our online people? Guys are quiet online. Oh, part of the safety thing. Make sure when you're in there, your phone is charged. You have a charger with you, right? Make sure that you have something with you. Wi-Fi might be different. Make sure you have a hotspot. Make sure you have something with you that you have access to stuff. Your phone doesn't die in case something happens that you need to reach out. Another safety thing is too, if you're doing an open house, even if you have a partner with you, let somebody else know when you're going to be there and where you're going to be there. And say to them, hey, would you mind just texting me every 30 minutes to make sure that I'm okay? And then if you don't respond, then that person knows, oh, I might need to want to go check on them. So it's always good to have somebody that's not at the open house know where you are. You can text another agent, you could let me know, you could let Sharon know, but letting somebody know where you are, and if you want to establish a check-in policy, go ahead and do it. All right. Follow up and convert. So this is open house is done. You now have all these people's information that signed in, that contacted you from the sign, that contacted you from the ad, all this other stuff. Now is your follow-up plan. The beautiful thing for you guys is these smart plans are already built. You just need to go and modify them. You go in command and the smart plans are there, and you get these people on the smart plans. You get them on the smart plan, you get them on the neighborhood nurture. You're like, well, all I have is their name. How do I get on the neighborhood nurture? Oh, what's that? Tax records. You can put their name in the tax search and find their address. Look at that. Now you can mail them a card. You can attach them to a neighborhood nurture. It's just a little bit of work, but it's possible. And that's part of the follow-up. You're cultivating and nurturing these people and you have your notes on them based off of what your conversation was. So you know where that follow-up is going, and whether everybody goes on the same smart plan or some of them are going on one because they showed high interest when they were with you, others that are, hey, we're just out here looking. You establish what plan works best for that to develop your follow-up strategy. But at a minimum, your first follow-up already happened if you use the Open Home Pro with a thank you. And even if it sends a thank you, if you have their phone, why not shoot them a text message the next day? Thanking them again. What if they didn't get the email? Send them a text message or call them when you get their address. Send them a thank you in the handwritten note. Can anyone say thank you too many times? No, and that's how you're starting your follow-up. Is thanking them and inviting them that if they have questions to reach out, I'm here for you. If you ever need for anything, reach out to me. I'm here for you. And then you do that, and then they start going on your smart plan, right? Then they start seeing all this other information that you're providing to them. They start seeing market updates and all this other stuff. And the beautiful thing about neighborhood nurtures, if you leverage that for part of your follow-up, is you can put them on the neighborhood nurture for where they live, and also neighborhood nurtures for where they want to live. So they can watch the market in both places or multiple places or other states. If they're looking to move from here to go to California, you can put them on a neighborhood nurture for the neighborhood they're looking for in California. And then you become the point of contact. So just like Josh said this morning, he met somebody while he was in Florida that wants to sell their house. He's just going to do a little CMA or like something very random, and he's going to be in contact with them and then just connect them to another agent. And he's right there. By going on vacation, he just made 25% of the commission for the agent he's going to refer them to because of a follow-up. Imagine what you would do if you had one referral a month just by being the connecting piece, because you have a follow-up plan. So you know when somebody anywhere raises their hand, all you got to do is connect them to somebody. Imagine what that 25, so basically every 4 referrals becomes a full closing. And working with a referral is minimum time. It's not a bad return on investment, is it? So that's how the follow-up and convert goes. So you nurture, you get them to the appointment, you get them to where they need to be, and then you get them to closing. But why does it go right back to the top? Because after closing, do you stop contacting them? Do you stop the smart plans? Do you stop the follow-up? No, because now we're looking for referrals. We did such a great job for them. Now the closing happened. We're asking for a review. We're asking for a referral. We're staying in touch with them. So when they run into somebody else, you stay top of mind, and it's not just the next realtor that they see a branded open house sign for. Questions? Comments? So standing out during the open house. Number one, we talked about where, and we say host a speaker, that's where we say bring the partner, bring a stager, a contractor, a painter, bring somebody to the house. That's your guest speaker. And one benefit of a guest speaker that I didn't mention is if you can't get them to fill out stuff or get their information, guess who can? The guest speaker. Because they're coming from a different angle. Guess who the number one guest speaker is to get information? A lender. Because people on the spot that are not pre-qualified or have questions about interest rate, what the monthly payment's going to look like there, all of that, the lender can whip that up in a matter of seconds. So that's your number one guest speaker if you're looking for somebody. And you can always bring two. You can bring a lender and you can bring a contractor or a designer. The more the merrier. And guess what? Every guest speaker you bring, they're also promoting the open house for you. So now you're reaching a sphere that you don't have of your own, because now they're reaching out to their database, inviting them to the open house. Now you just double the amount of people that may show up, or double the amount of people that may see your information. Offer a gift. Have a drawing. Fill out the information. Your name goes into a drawing for a gift basket, a gift card, something. Most times, whoever your guest speaker is, the host speaker you're bringing with you is the one that's going to provide that gift anyway. They're going to bring something along as a drawing. But that's another way to ensure that people fill out the information, because who doesn't want something free? When we go to fairs, don't we fill out all the, like, you see all the stands, it's like, I could win a free TV, I could win this. Well, heck, I'll write my name and email and stuff down. Like, sure, I'll go in the drawing. If I can win $1,000, why not? All I gotta do is write my stuff down. It's not that hard.
Jessica, and I know that they put some trees on the kitchen table.
Uh-huh.
We can do that, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And now at this time, it's COVID.
Yes, so we're gonna expand on that, like right now.
Oh.
So, because the next thing is get the house in showing shape, which I already talked to you guys about. Go through, open the blinds, turn the lights on, open all the doors, make sure every door is open, make sure the closets might be cracked, right? That they can kind of peek into it. If it's a walk-in closet, just open the door right away so they can see the walk-in closet. As far as the setup, so we talked about having the market stats and the flyers and everything kind of spread out on the island. So have little bottles of water, like Fulton said, print out a label, put your label on the bottled water, have snacks and stuff like that if you want to, but whatever you're providing, if it's food, make sure it's no mess, no crumbs, no sticky, no nothing. Individually pack things that they can grab and go with and eat outside of the house is better. You don't want a bowl of candy that kids are going to come up with their parents, they're grabbing the candy and then they start touching stuff and now you got bubble gum, sticky prints on the wall, or orange Cheeto fingerprints. Like, we don't want that kind of stuff. We don't. But that's part of getting the house in showing shape. So everybody that I believe is on this call, from what I've seen, Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. Fulton talked about flyers. Thick cardstock flyers for houses. One-page brochures. Things that you're only printing one copy of because you're only putting one in there. But if you wanted to create like something that you want them to walk away with that's a wow, this is a wow. It doesn't cost much either. Just listed postcards.
Now, would you do that not for every property? It depends on.
So who knows my take on how you treat each property? Who knows? Anyone? You guys alive on there still?
Keep it all the same.
Keep it all the same. Your marketing on every property is identical. So I'm not going to do a 10-pound piece of paper at this property, and then I'm going to do a 1,000-pound paper at this property. You're all getting exactly the same quality, no matter where you are. And like I said, we're printing minimum of a lot of this stuff anyway. So make it look the same. And if you're gonna have a handout, something they can walk away with because you want them to have that property flyer, print it in good quality. So stand out, because if they're gonna go to multiple open houses, what are the chances that the agent at the other open house has that? They probably have one of these basic sheets of paper. If they haven't, they probably went in the MLS and printed an MLS sheet, and that's what they have on the desk for people. They probably don't have something fancy. So stand out, because when somebody goes back at the end of the day, us ladies, we pull stuff, I don't have a pocketbook, but we pull stuff out of our pocketbook because we have all these like stuff in there, right? And we're pulling out, well, where did we go today? What houses did we see? When you start pulling that out, the touch and the feel of it alone is gonna have you stand out. We're visual and we're feelers. So think about that with what you're providing. Anything else? Let me go to the next slide. Oh, I forgot this one. We got the house in showing shape. Right, we got the house in showing shape, so all our directional signs are out, house is ready to go, it's opened up. Maybe you have something nice and fresh and smelling that you bring in there. Don't cook cookies in the house. So a lot of people used to bake fresh cookies for the open house because they're like, oh, that fresh cookie smell. What happens to most of the people that are baking the cookies? They end up burning them. And then you have a burnt cookie smell in the house. That is the worst smell ever. So don't do that. If anything, bring like Febreze has like the little air fresheners that you can sit somewhere, but don't overpower the house with a artificial smell either. Yeah, you don't want them to walk through and their eyes are watering like you just cut an onion. Like you don't want that to happen, okay? But yeah, so you're getting the house in order. And then we go live. What does that mean?
Showtime.
It means we open up our phone and we go on Facebook and we do Facebook Live and we go live. And we do a quick little video sharing the excitement. Hey, I'm here at this house. Come on, stop by while you're going live. If any of you are at home or not local to the area and you want to see this house, send me a message and I will do a quick live tour of the home with you while I'm here. Wow. Now you're offering customized service to somebody that isn't able to get there, that may be the buyer for the house. Or because you did that for them for the open house, they're going to reach out to you because they're looking at other houses and they realize you're willing to do a live video tour with them not there because they can't be here to look at it. Look at that. So let's talk, before we go to the next slide, virtual open houses for a second. Virtual open houses are a thing. Has anyone here done a virtual open house? Been to a virtual open house? Know what a virtual open house is? Okay. COVID hit. It caused a lot of people to have virtual open houses. Same concept with Facebook Live. If you're doing a virtual open house, that means you're the only person at that house. And what you're doing is you're promoting everything exactly the same way that we just talked about. The only difference is you are the only person in the house and you are inviting people to sign up for a time slot where you can personally walk them through and give a tour of the house while you're there. That's the only difference of a virtual open house. We still offered that service partially when we did our Facebook Live, that if they can't make it, we would walk through the house. But this way, you can send them the link. A lot of listing agents have a Matterport or a walking tour of the home. They can have that link, but that link may not be enough for somebody. And you can say, hey, let's schedule your 15 minutes with, we'll schedule your 15 minutes while I'm here at the house. And if there's areas of the home that you want to see a little more in depth, I'm going to walk you over there and we're going to look at it a little more in depth. And you're taking the time while you're doing that open house to take them to that area to show them a little bit more. That's really what a virtual open house is. You're virtually having appointments with people during that open house time slot. Questions on that? I keep looking back, even though I know you see me right here. All right, I'm going to assume no. Open house survival kit, especially if it's a vacant house, especially. Bring your disinfectant wipes, bring a roll of toilet paper, paper towels, pens, the air freshener, business cards, backup battery, we already talked about that. Measuring tape in case somebody asks about dimensions of a room. You can do that. Trash bags, that way if somebody has something there, you have a bag. Like you can make just a little basket that just sits in your trunk that you know if you're gonna do an open house, oh, I'm grabbing the basket from the shelf, I'm putting it in my trunk. This is what I go. Tissues in case your nose is running. A chair. Yep, trash bags on there, a broom, a Swiffer. So sometimes you don't know what you're gonna walk into. And even though that house, you're expecting it to be in open house condition, in case it's not, I've been there before. There's spills on the floor. Well, lucky I got my Swiffer in my trunk. I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna wipe it up real quick because I don't want someone walking in here and seeing that Kool-Aid that the kids spilled while they were in here before. So those are just some things to keep in that survival kit. Other things that you can add in there, a little toolkit. What if a doorknob comes loose and you just screw it back on? You know, think about things that could happen, right? So anything anyone wants to add that they would want to, Jack?
In today's time, do we need to worry about providing masks, hoodies to walk in, or gloves, or
Yep.
any of that?
Wouldn't it be bad to have a box of each just in case? So if it's a rainy day,
Tracking in.
extra towels, right? Have a pile of those like thin, cheap towels or something that somebody can at least wipe themselves off. That's where you want to have the booties. So if they're coming in from the outside, yeah, they wipe their feet, but we're going to put a bootie on, or we're going to have you take your shoes off, whichever is more appropriate to walk through the house. Good call, Jack. Online, anything else you want to add to that? Crickets. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nope, it was good. That's a repeat slide. We already did it. So before I go over this, I'm going to have one more share with you before we just kind of have your aha moments and stuff like that. Remind me in here, raise the hands, who has an online, who has hosted an open house or shadowed an open house?
Before we became realtors.
Online, raise your hands on your thing. Yeah, a couple. Okay. So we're doing all these things for the open house. We're trying to get people there. I've hosted a lot of open houses early on in my career. And when we talk about the door knocking and all this other stuff, I was religious with doing that. Absolutely religious. I would take my kids and my husband, we would go early in the, midweek, and we would go and pass out flyers to all the neighbors, the circle prospecting that we talked about. We would go and do that. One thing that I did, and this isn't to say that you need to do this, but my flyer would have a ticket on it. So I would have a flyer about the open house, and on the bottom was a rip-off ticket. And the ticket would say, if you visit the open house and you bring this ticket with your information filled out on the back, you'll get a free hot dog and soda when you leave. My husband would be in the driveway cooking hot dogs. So he would be offering, you can have a food truck come up that you give a free icy or something like that. But when you're going and doing the door knocking, you're adding an extra enticement for them to come to the open house. But the way that they get the enticement is because they fill out the ticket with their information on it. So you could potentially get a lot of people's contact information, even if they're not interested in that house. Every time I did that, I had no less than 52 people at my open houses. I didn't even know what to do when I was there. But it worked because those people, they literally were showing up for free hot dogs. You go to Sam's Club, Costco, you buy a big thing of hot dogs. What did I spend? Maybe $50 between hot dogs, cases of soda, and water for all those people. They came, grabbed a thing of chips. But I got a whole lot of contact information. And that was one way that I was able to build my database. But that was also one way that homeowner and those neighbors saw what I did. They saw what I was willing to do for the open house, for that seller, that then they start reaching out because they're so impressed by what happened. They're like, when we sell our house, we want that too. And yes, in today's market, I'm going back to this, some of this may not need to happen. But why not do it anyway to establish your brand, establish your value, establish what it is that you do? Because any day it can flip. And if it flips, the day that it flips, that could be the reason why you continue to be successful in your business and the agents that don't do it aren't. So remember, everything we're doing, the practices of these open houses, the practices of the marketing, it's building our reputation, it's building our brand, it's building our business for the future and establishing what we do. This is what you get by you work with us. If you go to McDonald's, do you know what you're going to get there? You know exactly what type of burger you're going to get, what type of fries you're going to get. If you go to a Starbucks, do you know what type of coffee you're going to get? You know, no matter what Starbucks you go to, that's what you're going to get. Imagine you are the Starbucks, you are the McDonald's. Right now, what you're doing is you're building it up to establish your baseline that no matter, this is what you're going to get. And that's why people are going to come to you. So how has your thinking changed? How do you feel about it? Talk to me. So I want to hear from everybody. So what are your thoughts on this? Anything you want to add? Anything you're questioning? Anything that I didn't cover? Or you're so overwhelmed and you're like, wow.
I will say, like, for what I've done in the past is obviously the wrong way to do it, because I was one of the agents that would go through and last minute put out signs and do stuff like that, and I got maybe 1 or 2 people to come to an open house. So just going through and showing the like Monday you start doing things. Obviously I want to try that out and see how that turns out from what I'm used to. So.
No, that's awesome. I mean, because don't think real estate for a minute. Think about anything that you're doing. If you decide to do something last minute, does it have the effect if you took time to plan ahead? If you decide, oh, we're going on vacation, do you figure it out when you get there, or do you schedule some things ahead of time and figure out what's around? Where's your experience better? When you plan ahead. So it's the same thing with the open houses. You plan ahead, you prepare ahead, you're laying, what do we talk? Laying the bricks to build your foundation. You're laying the bricks to have a successful open house. Thank you, Kyle. What else, guys?
Where's these flyers, these things, where is the best way?
So the flyers, Anna was asking about the flyers. That's the Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. If you don't have it, get with me after class. I'll make sure that you have access to it. You guys have access to this entire marketing suite. The only cost to you is what you print. The designs, downloading PDFs, all of that is at no cost. You just pay for what you print. So if you don't have access to Michael Lewis Marketing Suite, contact me directly and I will get you the email so you can create your profile to set that up. What else, guys?
You're talking about bringing like a guest speaker, like a lender or something like that. Mm-hmm. Is that what's the best way to approach that? Just kind of call someone you've worked with and just say like, hey, I'd like to do an open house this weekend. Would you be willing to, or anyone in your office be?
Yes. So the way that you pick these guest speakers, guest hosts that you're bringing with you are the ones that you want to be building a relationship with. So if there's a lender that you like the product they offer, personality wise, you guys match and stuff like that, you're building the relationship. So because this is what you're doing with whoever you're bringing along is you're opening the opportunity for them to gain business as well. That is our return to them, is getting, because that whole contact list, I don't know if I would hope that you guys would also give that contact list to whoever came with you. So then they can do their own follow-up, but you know that person, that's your partner, the host with them. If that contact reaches out to them and they start talking to them about real estate, you have the faith in them that they're going to contact you and say, hey, remember the person from the open house? They just reached out, a lender. They just reached out to me and we're getting them pre-qualified. I just want to let you know. And then I know, well, I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, I just talked to Jane. She said that you two were talking about that. I'm so excited that you're taking that next step. So you want somebody that's going to communicate and work together with you. So, you know, now is the perfect opportunity to start building those relationships, so you know who those people are going to be. But yes, and just like we're preparing for the open house, we're doing it well in advance. You ask them well in advance, not last minute, because a lot of times they can't do something last minute. Mark, I see your hand up. Are you there? Mark, you there? Nope.
Is that what that blue thing is?
Yeah. Will, you still have your hand
Hey,
up?
I am. That was from raise your hand earlier.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Awesome.
I took it down.
All right.
You've answered all the questions and given me a lot to think about.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome. So, well, I'm going to wrap it up then. I just want to say thank you guys for showing up, for educating yourselves. Remember, this is an opportunity for you to post something on social media that you attended a class, say something real estate, expanding your knowledge, right? This is an opportunity. Every time you do these things, you should be making a post on social media so your audience sees that you are learning real estate, doing real estate, something in real estate indirectly, get in front of them. So whether you're at home and you took a picture of your computer, that you're on a Zoom educating yourself, or you make your own post, make sure that you do that. Use it as leverage. It's the easiest piece of leverage. So thank you guys. Thank you for attending. And I appreciate you all. So
Thank you. That was awesome.
bye guys.
Very good.